We've got 4 videos in this little series on cognitive load theory. Watch them all to get a better understanding. Cognitive load theory tries to describe how the human mind processes new information. We have a very limited capacity for dealing with new information, anywhere from 3 to 7 elements. This is particularly tricky if the elements are interactive. Element interactivity means the degree to which the parts of knowledge have to be learnt together to make sense. For example, learning words in a foreign language has low interactivity. You can learn one at a time. Learning to drive has high interactivity because you need to process knowledge about changing gears, looking for traffic, maintaining road position all at once until some become automated. If a learning situation presents material in which we have to process too much at once, we experience cognitive overload. Cognitive overload impairs or prevents learning, so we as teachers need to avoid this condition in our students. We do this by designing instructional materials and activities that avoid exceeding our students' available capacity for working with new knowledge. Watch the next video to learn about the difference between long-term and working memory. Cognitive load theory proposes that while we have a very limited working memory, able to deal with only 3 to 7 elements at once, we have an effectively infinite long-term memory. Our limited processing capacity only applies to novel or new information, so the more that we have stored or automated in our infinite long-term memory, the easier tasks will feel. This is the feeling of competence or expertise. This makes sense. When we learn to read as children, we sound out words looking at each individual letter in very short words. Each letter is another element. As we start automating that process, meaning we hold the shape of words in our long-term memory, we read whole words, putting them together to create sentences. Eventually, we know so much about a topic that we can put sentences together to create conceptual meaning. Imagine 2 children learning about the food chain in the Serengeti. Child A has never been exposed to African animal names, whilst Child B has grown up hearing stories about African animals and can easily imagine each when named. They're in her long-term memory. While learning, Child A might become overwhelmed by the high interactivity of new knowledge presented in the food chain, given she's simultaneously trying to process the names of the new animals and their interactions. Child B already possesses a schema of knowledge about the animals, so only needs to concentrate on the interactions in the food chain, a much simpler task. Our job as teachers is to ensure that our students have enough long-term memory, or prior knowledge, so that whatever we're presenting does not exceed their working memory processing capacity. This is where pre-testing and spaced practice can help. Watch the next video to discover the 3 types of cognitive load and what we can do to optimize instruction.